Chapter 4. Focus on results. Strong relationships and psychological safety create the environment where high performance becomes possible, but you'll need to channel that collaborative energy toward meaningful business outcomes. Your next challenge is shifting from monitoring activities to enabling results through barrier removal and outcome-focused performance management. Anna realized she'd been asking the wrong question in her one-on-ones when Bobby mentioned a 2-week delay on a machine learning model that could have been resolved in 2 days with proper right stakeholder access. It started like any other weekly one-on-one. "How are things going?" had been Anna's standard check-in question for her remote data science team at Dataflow Solutions. Bobby's response was usually, "Fine, making progress on the Morrison model." But this week, Bobby looked frustrated during their video call. "Actually, I've been stuck for 2 weeks because I need access to the client's historical sales data to validate the model, but I'm not sure who to ask or if it's even allowed." Anna paused. 2 weeks? Why didn't you mention this earlier?" "I didn't want to bother you with something I figured I should be able to solve myself. I've been working on other aspects of the model, but I really need that data to complete the accuracy testing." Anna realized the problem wasn't Bobby's competency, was her approach to performance management. She'd been asking about general progress, instead of understanding specific obstacles. In 2 days, Anna could have connected Bobby with the client data team and gotten him access. Instead, a 2-week delay occurred because she was monitoring activities, "How are things going?" instead of enabling outcomes. What obstacles can I remove to help you achieve your goals? Bobby's situation illustrates a shift you may need to make, moving from asking "How are things going?" to "What obstacles can I remove to help you succeed?" This chapter shows you how to focus on results rather than activities, through barrier removal and enabling autonomous decision-making. The conversation highlighted the next challenge. Like Anna, you may have built good relationships with team members and created psychological safety, but still be managing in ways that limit, rather than enable performance. Your responsibility, that only you can do, focus on results. How this chapter helps: you have unique authority to remove barriers, provide context, and enable autonomous decision-making that individual contributors cannot access themselves. Your organizational position allows you to clear obstacles and create conditions for outcome achievement. Building on the trust and safety you've created, your next challenge is channeling that collaborative energy toward meaningful business outcomes. This means shifting from monitoring activities to enabling results through targeted barrier removal and outcome-focused performance management. What focusing on results means: you shift from monitoring activities and presence to enabling outcomes and removing barriers. This means your performance conversations focus on what people need to achieve their goals, rather than checking on what they've been doing. Why this matters: when managers focus on results rather than activities, teams develop problem-solving capabilities and decision-making skills that make them more effective over time. Autonomy-supportive management increases both performance and job satisfaction, compared to controlling approaches. What this includes: outcome-based evaluation design, barrier identification and removal, goal architecture and clarity, autonomy enablement frameworks, and context sharing systems. What this excludes: individual relationship building, Chapter 2, team communication design, Chapter 3, or career development, Chapter 5. Research foundation: why results focus requires barrier removal. Research consistently shows that when managers focus on removing barriers rather than monitoring activities, teams develop stronger problem-solving capabilities and higher job satisfaction. This is especially true in remote settings, where informal help and spontaneous collaboration happen less naturally. Translation: when managers concentrate on removing barriers and enabling outcomes rather than monitoring tasks, teams become both higher performing and more capable of independent problem solving. Research validates this shift. 87% of leaders agree that focusing on measurable outcomes rather than an employee's physical location or hours worked would significantly improve revenue. Toggle, 2024. Remote work amplifies the importance of systematic barrier removal because individual contributors have limited access to informal support and reduced visibility into organizational processes. When managers actively clear paths to success, remote teams achieve outcomes more efficiently while developing the autonomous capabilities that make them sustainable over time. This is crucial because autonomy isn't just about letting people work independently, it's about creating the conditions where independence leads to better outcomes. The 5 essential performance systems. Outcome-based evaluation design. How this works: redesign how you think about and evaluate performance to focus on business outcomes and value creation rather than task completion or time investment. This involves connecting individual work to organizational goals, measuring impact rather than activity, and evaluating success based on results achieved rather than efforts expended. Why this matters: outcome-focused evaluation increases both performance and job satisfaction because people understand how their work matters and have flexibility in how they achieve results. In remote settings, outcome focus is especially critical because managers cannot and should not monitor activities closely. Implementation framework. Goal architecture: clear, measurable outcomes that connect individual work to team and organizational success. Value definition: specific understanding of what good work looks like in terms of business impact. Success metrics: quantifiable measures that reflect meaningful achievement rather than busy work. Performance conversations: regular discussions about obstacles, progress toward outcomes, and support needed. Evaluation criteria: assessment based on results achieved, problems solved, and value created. Implementation example: Anna redesigned Bobby's goals from complete assigned machine learning models to deliver predictive insights that enable clients to improve operational efficiency by 15%. This shift changed everything about how Bobby approached his work. Instead of focusing on model completion, he started thinking about client value and operational impact. He began asking clients about their specific efficiency challenges, validating model assumptions against real business needs, and measuring success by client implementation and results, rather than technical accuracy alone. Elena's goals changed from complete requested data analyses to provide data insights that help clients understand and improve their business performance. This outcome focus led Elena to develop better questions about what insights clients actually needed, create more actionable recommendations, and follow up on whether her analyses led to client decision-making improvements. David's goals shifted from manage client relationships to ensure client satisfaction and project success through effective communication and expectation management. This results focus helped David understand that his role wasn't just maintaining relationships, but enabling project outcomes through strategic client interaction. The key was connecting everyone's work to measurable business value rather than task completion, creating natural motivation for outcome achievement and strategic thinking. Barrier identification and removal. How this works: identify obstacles that prevent team members from achieving their goals, and use your authority and network to eliminate those barriers before they create significant delays or quality problems. This requires proactive problem solving, organizational navigation, and strategic intervention. Why this matters: your team members often lack the authority, access, or perspective needed to remove systemic barriers to their performance. When you actively remove barriers, performance improves dramatically because people can focus energy on value creation rather than problem navigation. Barrier categories. Access barriers: permissions, data, tools, people, or resources needed for success. Authority barriers: decision-making power, approval processes, or authorization needed to act. Information barriers: context, background, priorities, or knowledge needed for good decisions. Relationship barriers: connections, introductions, or collaboration needed across teams. Process barriers: inefficient workflows, unclear procedures, or bureaucratic obstacles. Implementation example: Anna established a barrier identification process. During one-on-ones, she specifically asked, "What obstacles are slowing you down or preventing you from achieving your goals?" The answers revealed patterns she hadn't noticed. Bobby needed direct access to client data teams, instead of going through multiple approval layers. Anna used her managerial authority to establish a direct relationship and ongoing access protocol. Elena needed validation processes for complex analyses to ensure accuracy without slowing down delivery. Anna connected her with senior analysts who could provide rapid technical review. David needed backup for client meetings to prevent overload during busy periods. Anna created a rotation system where team members could support each other's client work. Jordan needed protected time for infrastructure work without constant interruptions. Anna established focus blocks and created an alternative first contact system for urgent technical questions. Sarah needed delegation authority for research coordination to streamline project management. Anna clarified her decision-making authority and created clear escalation criteria. Priya needed budget authority for design tools, instead of requesting approval for every software purchase. Anna pre-approved a design tool budget and established clear spending guidelines. The structured approach revealed that most performance limitations weren't about individual capability, but about organizational obstacles that only managerial intervention could remove. Goal architecture and clarity. How this works: design and communicate goals that provide clear direction while enabling autonomy in execution. This means creating goal structures that specify desired outcomes without micromanaging methods, connecting individual goals to broader organizational priorities, and ensuring people understand both what success looks like and why it matters. Why this matters: poor goal architecture is one of the primary causes of performance problems in remote teams. When goals are unclear, overly prescriptive, or disconnected from business value, people either waste energy on low-impact activities or become paralyzed by uncertainty. Well-structured goals increase performance and reduce stress, because people can make good decisions independently and understand how their work contributes to larger success. Goal architecture components. Outcome specification, clear description of what success looks like. Business connection, understanding of how individual goals support team and organizational objectives. Success measures, specific, measurable indicators of achievement. Autonomy boundaries, clear understanding of what decisions people can make independently. Resource allocation, knowledge of available tools, budget, time, and support. Timeline framework, realistic deadlines that account for complexity and dependencies. Implementation example: Anna redesigned goal architecture across her team to create clarity with autonomy. Instead of prescriptive task lists, she created outcome-focused goal structures. For Bobby, deliver machine learning solutions that demonstrate measurable client value within agreed timelines, with success measured by client implementation rates and operational improvements achieved. This gave Bobby clarity about the desired outcome, while allowing him flexibility in technical approach, client interaction methods, and solution design. For Elena, provide data analyses that enable client decision-making and performance improvement, with success measured by analysis accuracy, insight relevance, and client utilization of recommendations. This helped Elena understand that her role wasn't just completing analyses, but enabling client action. For the entire team, Anna connected individual goals to Dataflow's quarterly objectives, so everyone understood how their specific work contributed to broader business success. She created regular goal calibration sessions, where people could ask questions, request clarification, and discuss how changing priorities affected their specific objectives. The goal architecture provided direction without restricting autonomy, enabling people to make strategic decisions about their work, while maintaining alignment with team and organizational priorities. Autonomy enablement frameworks. How this works: create clear frameworks that enable team members to make good decisions independently by providing context, decision-making criteria, and escalation guidelines. This involves sharing strategic information, establishing decision boundaries, and teaching people how to evaluate options and make autonomous choices that align with business objectives. Why this matters: autonomy without context leads to poor decisions, but oversight without autonomy limits performance. Research from self-determination theory shows that when psychological needs for autonomy, competence, and relatedness are satisfied, employees experience enhanced intrinsic motivation and better performance. Ryan and Decky, 2000. The key is providing enough context and criteria for people to make good decisions without constant supervision. Autonomy framework elements. Decision authority, clear understanding of what decisions people can make independently. Escalation criteria, specific guidelines about when to seek input or approval. Strategic context, background information needed for good decision-making. Resource authority, understanding of budget, time, and tool allocation decisions. Risk assessment, framework for evaluating when to take initiative versus seeking guidance. Implementation example: Anna created autonomy frameworks that enabled independent decision-making while maintaining alignment and quality. For Elena, you can make methodology decisions for routine analyses, choose data visualization approaches, and communicate directly with clients about analysis results. Escalate when projects involve sensitive client data, require significant additional resources, or affect other team members' work. This framework eliminated dozens of unnecessary check-ins, while ensuring important decisions received appropriate oversight. For Bobby, you can select technical approaches for models, communicate with client technical teams, and adjust project timelines by up to 1 week. Escalate when client relationships require negotiation, resource needs exceed budget, or technical approaches affect other projects. This gave Bobby autonomy for technical decisions, while ensuring business decisions received appropriate input. Anna also established decision-making context by sharing strategic information regularly: client priorities, organizational changes, budget constraints, and competitive considerations. This context enabled team members to make decisions that aligned with business objectives, even when specific situations hadn't been discussed previously. Context and decision authority sharing. How this works: regularly share strategic context, organizational priorities, and decision-making frameworks that enable team members to make autonomous decisions that align with business objectives. This involves translating high-level organizational information into practical guidance that people can use for day-to-day decision-making. Why this matters: most poor decisions in remote teams result from lack of context rather than lack of capability. Individual contributors rarely have access to the strategic information, organizational priorities, or leadership thinking that managers receive. When managers share context effectively, team members make significantly better autonomous decisions because they understand the business rationale behind different options. Context sharing framework. Strategic priorities, current organizational focus, and decision-making criteria. Client context, relationship dynamics, priorities, and constraints that affect work decisions. Resource context, budget situations, timeline pressures, and capacity considerations. Organizational context, policy changes, leadership priorities, and competitive factors. Decision context, how leadership evaluates options and makes trade-offs. Implementation example: Anna established structured context sharing that dramatically improved team decision-making quality. She created weekly context updates that included business priorities for the quarter and how they affected project decisions, client relationship status, and any special considerations for each account, organizational changes that might affect teamwork or resources, budget and capacity considerations that should influence project planning. She also shared decision-making frameworks. When choosing between speed and quality, default to quality unless the client has explicitly prioritized timeline. When resource allocation decisions arise, prioritize work that demonstrates clear client value. When client requests conflict with best practices, explain the trade-offs and recommend the approach that serves long-term client success. This context sharing enabled remarkable improvements in autonomous decision-making. Bobby started making technical choices that aligned with client business priorities, rather than just technical elegance. Alana began prioritizing analyses that supported client decision-making, rather than just answering questions. David adjusted his communication approaches based on specific client relationship dynamics. The context sharing transformed the team from people who executed well-defined tasks to strategic contributors who made good decisions independently. Building on previous skills. Focusing on results integrates with and enhances the other skills you've developed. Connection to building connections. Chapter 2. Your individual relationships provide the trust needed for honest conversations about obstacles and performance challenges. People won't tell you what barriers they're facing unless they trust you to help rather than judge. Connection to creating safety. Chapter 3. Psychological safety allows team members to share problems, admit when they're stuck, and request help without fear of being seen as incompetent. Results focus works only when people feel safe to be honest about obstacles. Your next challenge in this journey is learning to enable growth using your organizational visibility and authority to create development opportunities that retain top talent and build team capabilities. Chapter 5 will show you how to become a catalyst for your team members' career development in ways that only managers can provide. When you focus on results instead of activities, people have the clarity and autonomy they need to perform at their best. Focusing on results transforms your role from activity supervisor to performance enabler, creating the foundation for development planning, workload balancing, and long-term team success. Results-focused performance management enables your team to achieve meaningful outcomes autonomously. But sustainable success requires more than current performance. It demands growing your team's capabilities over time. The clarity and autonomy you've established now creates space for the development and growth that retains top talent and builds organizational capability. End of chapter. Note: shifting from monitoring activities to enabling outcomes requires specific frameworks. I've created 3 tools to support this transformation. Download all 3 at unlocked.click.